Namaste and welcome. Punyakoti. This is the first ever animated Sanskrit feature film. Today on the Festival of Bharat talk show, our guest speaker, the writer and director of this unique and inspirational film, will speak about his efforts in putting it together and the huge importance of it. Ravishankar ji, who has an MBA and is passionate in spreading Sanskrit through technology and believes Bharat is definitely on the crossroads of a major transformation. Welcome and namaste, sir. How are you?
I'm doing very well, Payal, and thanks for having me in the show.
You're most welcome. So my first question is on what inspired you in putting Punyakoti together, and why this is so important is because we see right now, especially on a channel like Chiti Media, Festival of Bharat, that there is a fight of people trying to unravel untruths. But this aspect of Dharma is sometimes not given enough attention. The part where we need to go back to our roots and learn Sanskrit, embrace our culture further. So what is it that inspired you? Why do you think it was important to make this film?
Got it. Thanks for asking that question. It's a very important question in the context of Dharma and what we are trying to do today. See, I discovered Sanskrit after I was 40 years old. I was working in Infosys and there was a Sanskrit workshop, and I discovered for the first time that, like, my country had a language that was made of sounds, which, when you, along with an algorithm, if you mix it together, you can actually create any number of words that you want. You will never run out of vocabulary. And that opened up my eyes. I studied, my master's was in English literature, and then I discovered Sanskrit literature. Then I found that, like, how rich it was. And I just, it dawned upon me how much of this is not going to go to the next generation, and I wanted to do something for the next generation. And Punyakoti was a story that is from Karnataka, and it's a folk song. And when I first heard the story, I was really, I was in tears. I saw a mother's love for uh, her daughter, as in the cow's love for its calf, and also the fact that the cow was willing to give up its life to keep its word. If you actually see that, like, that Satya Dharma, which is very Satya Dharma and Karma are so embedded in our lives, like, we don't realize it. It is in our deep culture, and everybody is able to relate to it. And I had an imaginary story as to what led to this encounter between a tiger and a cow, and their conversation, which was actually the song. And I wrote a story about it, and the and I said this would make a great animated movie, and that's all. I mean, that was my inspiration. And I said, come what may. I mean, this is the only movie that I will probably ever make in my life. Let me make a good movie of it. And I just, like, decided to. I mean, I have never made a movie before. I'm a IT professional. I just wrote the story. I just started reading about how screenplays are written. I had some background in copywriting and script writing, so I put together the story, and then I went about finding ways and means of making this movie happen. So I must admit, the movie happened through me and not because of me. I was just a nimittam. I was more an instrument of providence, and as you said. We have to preserve our culture, and there is a collective consciousness, a collective assertiveness that is happening in India, and probably that's what uh, I was just a product of that. And it was providence that used me to make this movie. Otherwise, I'm very least qualified to make an animated movie. There are more than 100 big studios in India that could have made this movie, which had all the resources.
That's really inspirational because I think a lot of people have good ideas, but they feel they do not have the skills to implement it. So the fact that you had this idea, this inspiration, and you had the will and the heart to go with the efforts of putting this together, it's remarkable, honestly. But on this comes the crowdfunding, because of course, a simple person, a lot of people, this is very inspirational for a lot of us. We have our ideas, but how do you get to that point? I know you did crowdfunding, and it was a very successful project of crowdfunding. So, what was your process in uh, going from your idea to implementation?
Yeah. In fact, the idea of crowdfunding was there, but I did not know how to crowdfund. Like I said, I'm a regular bloke who goes to the office and comes back. And I went and asked Mohandas Pai, who was the an ex-board member of Infosys, for help because he was a philanthropist. And I went and told him I have this idea, and he said, uh, look, there are many ways of doing this, but first of all, you have to be realistic about it. And that's what I want to share with everybody as a lesson. You can have great ideas, but it should be feasible, it should be implementable. And therefore, it's very important to talk about your idea, discuss your idea with people who have done big things before. So he asked me to kind of get it to a point on a budget that's feasible, and he suggested that I go and crowdfund it. And he said, if the crowd likes your idea, I will fund it. And I thought this was a great idea. So he gave me the reference of a crowdfunding platform called Wishberry. And I went and presented this idea to them, and they liked the idea. And luckily for me, at that point of time, one of the biggest music directors of India, uh, Sri Ilayaraja, had already endorsed the story, and he said that this is a good story, and if Ravi, if you ever get to do it, I will give you the music for it. And he has done more than 1,000 movies, and he's a prodigal, he's a genius, and he's a musical maestro. And he endorsing the idea was a very big thing for me. And the largest crowdfunded project of any size at that point of time was 27 lakhs. And I wanted 1 crore to complete the movie. And everyone said it was impossible. So we arrived at a 40 lakh figure with great fear, right? And we were not sure if we could get to 40 lakhs. And after I think a 90-day campaign on the internet, through social media, we were able to get this message across to a lot of people. For the first time, I appeared in front of camera. I'm a very shy person, very introverted person, and I had to make 7 versions of my pitch video. And finally, the Wishberry team gave up, and they told me, which I wanted to do all the time. They said, "Be natural," because they were giving me scripts. I was reading from scripts, and it was not working. And when I started speaking from my heart, somehow the 7th version came out right. So the 2 or 3 things about crowdfunding was, get the support of somebody who has earned a great amount of credibility, uh, because it had Mohandas Paiji supporting the campaign, it had Sri Ilayaraja supporting the campaign. By the time we got to the second leg of the crowdfunding, we had Miss Revati, who is a very famous actress, supporting us. Some of these things really help. And what it actually did to the project was it gave it credibility. And of course, make sure that there is some uniqueness about the project. If it is again like run of the mill, it is just like another idea, then crowdfunding becomes extremely difficult. And what was very appealing and heartening for me was that people, more than 450 people from different nationalities, uh, and the number of people who gave very small amounts, like people who I know of, students who gave 1,000 rupees for this project. And I had a 96-year-old person who gave 10,000 rupees. Unfortunately, the person did not live to see the completion of the project. Just about a few months before we could release the project, he passed away. So for me, the crowdfunding exercise was a great expanding exercise, and there was no guarantee that it will succeed. So that's why I keep saying that I'm just an instrument, and if the idea is good, it will go through, and it will certainly succeed. And that's the lesson that I learned from the crowdfunding exercise. Because getting a regular producer who was worried about returns from some of these kind of things is very difficult. And in 2015, I could not find any producer for the project. People who said that they can produce, they backed out. There were a lot of failures. I mean, people see the good picture, but if you are getting into any of these exercises, be prepared for a lot of failures. I must have failed more times, and I keep telling people I would have made 4 movies, because only in the fourth attempt it used to get right, and all the three were lessons learned for me. So today if I make a movie, I will do it in one fourth probably the time, and one fourth the mistakes.
Mm. Well, you live and you learn, as I say, and you learn from your mistakes, and you get better as you go on. But in the one bit which strikes to me is, of course, you're saying the story was very, very good, and that's why you got the interest and you got the funds. But what about the Sanskrit element? Were people like likening to the fact that it was a Sanskrit film, or was that a put off it for some people who may have funded? What was your feeling on that?
One of the reasons I think, we did an analysis later. In fact, one of the biggest motivator for people was that something like this is happening for Sanskrit, that somebody is bringing Sanskrit out of the closet into, into the cinema world, and they are making it palatable. Because I used to always tell people that this movie is a gateway to Sanskrit. If you don't know Sanskrit, you can learn it from textbooks, you can learn it in classrooms, but those are all very boring ways of learning Sanskrit. If you don't know Sanskrit, go watch Punyakoti. This is actually that was the idea with which it was made, because this Sanskrit movie has over 500 phrases in Sanskrit, which would probably take you 3 to 4 years to learn, master, understand, appreciate everything. But here, in 70 to 80 minutes, you are actually undergoing. The movie is 85 minutes, so if you take off the opening scene and the some of the credits and everything, in about 80 minutes you are going to learn 500 phrases in Sanskrit. And it's connecting to your emotions. You are seeing something, it's colorful. There are songs, there is a fight, and there are animals speaking, there are children. There is so much of fun, there's so much of emotion, so much of messaging, all of this happening, right? Like, because why we remember movies is because there is sound, there is light, and this one, it's not like a textbook. So I would my dream is that someday this becomes the opening textbook for all Sanskrit classes. So the people were motivated by donating for Sanskrit, apart from the story, because the story was an imaginary story that I had written. Many people only know the popular folk song, but most people who donated because it was a unique project in Sanskrit.
That's amazing, because to me that excites me for more. I think this should be, as it's the first ever animated Sanskrit feature film, and I think we need more of these. And I hope this is the beginning of many more, because I think, like you just said, it's a great, great way of learning Sanskrit. I'm just thinking about other films I watch in different languages. I grew up in a Western country, but I knew Hindi only because I watched Hindi films. I didn't learn it in any official, formal way. So, in the same way, if there's more Sanskrit films, people watch it. They're good stories. I think naturally both children, adults can learn Sanskrit in that more conversational way as well, not the literacy way only, right? This is, as I said, this is the reason why this film is this very important as a inspiration for more. So what are your next steps in respect to this film? How did it do on the in both the national and international platforms? What's your feelings of where it's going?
Sure. Um, See, for a project to be successful, first of all, it has to reach an audience. I think one of the biggest surprises was we did the trailer of the movie and put it up, and the trailer went viral. And the entire, so it got to about 3 lakh views, and that is when a lot of interest in the movie started to peak up. And then through a content aggregator we were able to go to Netflix, and Netflix was did a technical evaluation of our production, and they found it satisfactory and they were able to take it. We went to other OTT platforms as well in India and abroad, but they did not have a category, or they were not willing to take that risk at that point of time. But it was on Netflix for a couple of years. It also went around international film festivals. It also won 4 awards in the annual Animation Express awards that happened in India. It got shown in, it was a panorama movie in the Shanghai Film Festival, and it got shown in Japan in film festivals and in the US, and it got about 10 or 20 recognitions around the world, including awards and certificates for various aspects of the movie making. So it was a critically acclaimed movie, and I had the satisfaction of making a movie and getting it out there, and that itself was like a good thing. The thing that I am not very happy about is that we could not sufficiently market it to become like a mass viewing experience, right? Like it was still niche. Very few people who knew about or appreciated Sanskrit were able to see it. People from abroad were able to see it. A lot of people from Brazil and other people, Portuguese, Italy, Portugal, Italy, and other places where had written to me, and of course, like it got some viewers in Australia as well. uh, the thing that I am thinking is that, like, I don't know if I have the idea for another movie. I have a couple of ideas, and I am surely looking for somebody who can support me in getting this Sanskrit movies out there. At least to me, I am very, very clear. If you're looking for a Sanskrit animation filmmaker out there, you will find one in me, and I can get it done. The team that has come together, and it's now almost a decade of working together, so we now know all aspects of how to make an animated movie and how not to make an animated movie, so that's very important. I'm hoping that with the support of the right kind of dharmic minded people and platforms like you, we get a chance to re-release Punyakoti all over the world. It's already with English and Portuguese subtitles, and if there is an opportunity, we should get it out into the market again and reach a mass audience.
Absolutely. It looks like it's done quite well anyway. The fact that it was viewed on Netflix for 2 years, I think you said, right? So it's done well. And the fact that it's Sanskrit in terms of language and it's done so well, it's amazing, you know, and I think it's very, I think it gives people more. I guess more inspiration and more encouragement, should I say, to go ahead, and if they have ideas on doing Sanskrit films, go ahead and do it, because I think it will get a viewership, and maybe you're right, maybe it needed a little bit more marketing, but from what I'm hearing, you know, where it's gone so far, it's already quite well viewed. But I think in respect to re-releasing it, that's also a really interesting idea. So I hope that's something that our platform and other anyone who's viewing this can help with. Um, but you know, I think in terms of the future and more Sanskrit films, I'm getting excited. I'm getting excited with the fact that there could be more which can give this other very, very natural way of learning Sanskrit an opportunity to people in Bharat, but also abroad who want to learn Sanskrit, but the traditional learning methods are tedious for them, right? So I think this is such a brilliant idea in learning Sanskrit. I'm an educator myself, and I think, when you said how much you can learn in the 90 minutes of watching this film, just really hit something really strong for me as well. So, what is next for you in respect to making more films then?
Okay. Like I said, I have a couple of scripts that I am working on. I'm waiting for someone to kind of help me make that movie in terms of finances and things like that. So once I get a producer and an investor who believes that instead of one Punyakoti, if there are 10 Sanskrit animated movies, it will do much more than um, uh, what do you call it, getting a lot of textbooks in Sanskrit out there, and it will be a bigger service to Sanskrit. So I'm waiting for that to happen. And I myself am involved right now in trying to help collect data that can help artificial intelligence for Sanskrit. I'm working with IIT Chennai with one of their initiatives called AI for Bharat, which is part of the Digital India mission. So I just quit corporate life completely last August, and I said that I'm going to do something that I love, that will help India get to the next level. And because I believe that, like, thanks to digital transformation and all the things that we are now um, finding the right place in the table among world leaders to kind of get our story out there. So I want to contribute to that, and that's what I'm up to.
Brilliant. Very inspirational again. And, there's people who talk, they can see, but the fact that you're doing and you have, you seem to be an action man, you want to contribute, and that's really beautiful. And I really do hope your next projects are all a success. And I can see you have the will and the heart. So I'm sure you will get the support. And of course, however Chitti Media and Festival of Bharat can help, we will do so as well. So is there anything else you'd like to add, Ravishankarji, before we end?
I would say that see, I took the risk. It was not an easy journey. All aspects of this movie making and getting it out there, including the crowdfunding part, getting the team together, getting a distribution platform, um, was difficult. It took tremendous effort for almost 5 years. I used to every day come back from office and be up till about 1 a.m. Trying to get all this organized before going to bed and go to office the next day. It took a big piece of my life, my health, and all those things. But in spite of that, I would urge that more people should do it. Because it leaves you in a different place. It leaves you personally in a very different place. When you want to do something and actually you are willing to pay with your time, effort, life, everything, and get out of your comfort zone to get to what you really need, and especially when it is something like what Bharat needs, right? So it's a wonderful experience. It has personally expanded me. Like, before Punyakoti, if you ask me to sit in front of a camera and speak, I probably would not be even able to get 10 sentences together. So I urge all of you to take that little bit of a risk, jump out of your comfort zone, and that's a great experience. It's very difficult. It's a struggle. I can tell you that much. It was personally, it was right, but it's still worth it.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And thank you. And with the audience, whoever's listening, and if you know anybody yourself who has an idea, please do forward this video to them, because it's really, truly an inspiration on how Ravishankar has put this all together. So I hope you do. And please do not forget to subscribe. And thank you and namaste to everyone.
Namaste.
Namaste. We hope you enjoyed this Chitti Media content. Please remember to subscribe to us and switch on the notifications for this channel. For our other social media links, more content, and to support our work, please visit citti.net. Dhanyavad. Namaskar.